Today I want to go over how to maximize your ultimate efficiency. Your ultimates do more than just win team fights, they help you push the momentum farther, or they can help you regain momentum when you've lost it. And one of the most common problems I see is that people aren't using their ultimates often enough. Of course you don't want to waste them, you don't want to double stack them, but also at the same time, if you're not using your ultimate, that means you're not charging one either. For instance, if you're a DPS and you have your ultimate charged and you're doing damage, you're charging the enemy support ults. And if you're playing a strategist, all the healing you're doing while you have your ultimate charged isn't going anywhere, as the enemy team is probably charging their DPS and tank ults off of your team. So the moment you're getting close to your ultimate or you have it, you really want to start looking for opportunities in which you can either win a team fight or push momentum or regain momentum if you've lost it. I'm going to use this game as Rocket in a Celestial 1 lobby as an example. At the start of the game, when everybody has 0% ult charge, a lot of times what you're doing is you're racing to see who can get that first ultimate, because you might charge that first ultimate so fast that it immediately wins you a team fight. And because people take so much damage, support ults charge really fast in this instance. One of Rocket's strengths is that he's very slippery, so he can be healing himself and his teammates while he's dodging a dive. You still always want to prioritize survival, but if you can heal yourself at the same time you're healing your team, that means the enemy diver isn't getting much value. While dodging the dives and healing myself and healing my teammates, the moment I got my ultimate, I immediately popped it. I tried to be mindful of its positioning to make sure it wouldn't get burned down quickly, but I also threw it down knowing that Angela's overextended deep into our team, which means if we get this singular pick on her, that ultimate immediately gains value. You don't need to use ultimates to get big team wipes. If you can turn the match into a 6v5, that's a huge advantage for your team, and that's what I was aiming for here in this play. I play a lot more up close than I used to with Rocket because I'm a lot more confident with his movement and my positioning. And the reason why I do this is because of the fact that if I sit back really far and just hold right click, I'm not able to pull out another resource from the enemy team, which is their attention. Because like I said, if they're diving you, but you can still actively heal yourself and the enemy team, that means they're not diving your teammates. I've limit tested a lot as Rocket, so I'm a lot more confident in being able to stay alive when I'm up close. I just have to be mindful of certain ultimates like Psylocke, Strange, or Angela. This was an unfortunate death. I didn't think that they were going to commit so much because of the fact that we're right near our spawn. It's a very short distance for us to respawn and come back immediately to the point, so the deaths we have here aren't so bad because it doesn't give the enemy team a whole lot of value for using those ultimates.
That's what this core should solve Baracco's Ultron problem.
You're ready for action!
I like the cold. I was worried. Stop them!
See? I'm blocked. You're welcome.
I could learn a few things from you, Sai.
Hi, that feels good.
One down.
I'm opening a portal. A short.
Better stop that vehicle! Wish I could do what you do.
You're ready for action.
That's what I needed.
Let us hope this core undoes Ultron's efforts.
They hit a checkpoint!
Luckily, my team was using their ultimates in a really great way to stagger the enemy, which allowed us to push and capture the second point so easily. And now that I've got my ultimate charged, I'm going to immediately be looking for my next opportunity to use it. Typically, if you have a Rocket ult and another ult like Luna at the same time, you usually want to use the Luna ultimate first because of the fact that they'll usually counter with another support ult. And if you use Rocket ult first and they counter with Luna, they'll just melt through your Rocket ult anyway. So I always try to get Luna to match first, and then hopefully my ultimate can be used to clean up and win the team fight after. Seeing my team push up and take space and play aggressive, I followed up on that aggressiveness just the same as I would as if I was a DPS. After quickly throwing down my res station, I immediately dropped in on the enemy and threw down my amplifier in hopes that I could help my team secure at least one quick pick. And luckily, once again, we were able to secure that pick before the enemy Luna was able to ult and save them. Ultimates like Luna, Invis, and Cloak and Dagger are really powerful because it takes a lot in order to try and kill through them. But if you can secure a pick before they're able to get that ult off, you put your team in a really good spot. This is one of the reasons why I love Rocket's ult so much, is because it's a playmaking ultimate that secures kills and it doesn't just deny them. Once I helped my teammates secure that pick, I'm immediately dipping out of that situation because I know a lot of ultimates are about to go off and I want to sit on the convoy to move it faster. At the same time, I know my team is safe because they have Luna there as backup, but they still have a numbers advantage and I can still shoot my heals from far away. And another reason as to why I wanted to throw my amplifier down so aggressively is 1, I get to charge up another one really fast, and 2, now I'm getting the enemy to blow their ultimates when they're not even anywhere close to the convoy. So that way when they do go to contest the convoy, they don't have anything to fight back with. Now that both teams are regrouping, the enemy team doesn't have a lot that they can push forward with to feel like they can contest the payload, so we get a lot of free space on it. And you can see now that even though I use my ult so aggressively, I am already back to 72% on my next ultimate. And the enemy team used both their Invis and Luna ultimate in that same time, and they're only at 29 and 40%, which means that my ultimate is about to get a lot of value.
Don't give them another inch! Or else!
My good deed for the day. Someone scratch my back.
Immediately after my teammates got a pick and I had my ultimate, I threw it down right away to help us secure a win on a 6v5 team fight. Mag was forced to use his ult to counter mine, but because he missed, he wasn't able to put the fight into his favor. Their team being down and Bucky being the only one with an ultimate, he felt forced to try and make a play happen, and because he had to rush it with the teammate down, he ended up making a mistake and we ended up securing a pick on him. At no point in time was I ever waiting for the perfect opportunity to use my ultimate or only using it defensively. I was trying to use it as often as I could to try and secure us that momentum. Rocket heals especially are strong enough to keep his team up through a lot, and he's able to charge his ult really fast because of how many people he can heal at once. So especially on Rocket, I always want to use his ultimate as aggressively as I can. At the start of the round on defense, like I've said before in my other videos, you're mostly just trying to stay alive. Defense, especially on convoy maps, is all about contesting that objective and just trying to stay alive and keep one person on it to keep it from moving. Kills make it a lot easier to keep the convoy from moving, but you don't actually have to secure them sometimes to keep the convoy in place. So at the very start, I'm going to play far back away from my team and away from all the damage and make it very difficult for divers to reach me. And once the convoy gets closer to the corner, then I'm going to retreat back to my team and pull back a bit with them. Baraka is one of Rocket's best maps because of how easy it is to do his wall dashes. Because his wall dashes travel him so far, it's really easy to stay in spots for a really long time and use those to reposition quickly. While that convoy is moving up closer to the corner, it was getting pretty dangerous for me to be there, but by using the wall dash, I can retreat to safety in the matter of a second.
Armor patch here! Pay up!
A nice deep freeze.
You're ready for action!
You would not laugh.
My team gets a pick, which is quickly undone by the res, but then immediately after that, they get another pick, and now that my ultimate is getting closer and it's a 6v5, I immediately want to stagger them even harder. Anytime you ever see me play support, whether I'm on Rocket or Luna, the moment I have my ultimate, I immediately start to play a lot more aggressively. Because what I want to do in this moment is immediately turn this 6v5 into a 6v0 and stagger the enemy as much as I can so that way I can buy as much time as possible for my team. Because in a 6v5 scenario like this, either we get a pick and we stagger them harder, or we force ultimates out of them when they're not fully regrouped as a team, which means that when they're using ultimates, it's not as scary as if they were fully regrouped. After using my ultimate, my team was immediately able to pick up a bunch of staggers on the enemy, buying us quite a lot of time, and now I'm ready to start charging my next ultimate up. At the same time though, while the enemy team is regrouping and going back to the convoy, my Luna still has her ultimate in order to keep my team safe in case something happens, and now I can go back into sitting back and charging my next ultimate up. The enemy Psylocke had a really good ultimate on my team though, which immediately gave her team a lot more momentum when coming back out of spawn. Unfortunately, Enzu had the most unlucky respawn possible that somehow was still in the LOS of Psylocke's ult, so it ended up getting him a second time, and sorry about that, Enzi. Knowing that we're down, we're just trying to play safe, we're trying to buy time. My Strange moves up to try and see if he can't touch the convoy a little bit and try and slow the progression down. With Psylocke being dead, me and Luna are probably safe for the most part, so I'm just going to try and heal Strange and try and keep him topped off so he can slow down that convoy. Looking back at this, I was trying to put some distance between me and the Mr. Fantastic ultimate. I think maybe if I just hung out in the LOS, I could have healed Luna and kept her alive through the Mr. Fantastic ult maybe. So she was forced to pop her ult in order to keep herself alive because that's absolutely what she should do. And then I didn't expect the Bucky to come through the portal, and he ended up killing me with a combo, which was a good play on his part. Unfortunately, because Mr. Fantastic was able to pull out their Luna ult so early and we weren't able to fully regroup, we ended up losing the point. There's definitely some mistakes that we all made as a team, but this happens and we still have a lot of good time on the clock, so there's no reason to panic just yet. My teammates and I are backing up collectively to try and make sure we can regroup as 6 because the enemy team is going to want to try and take space and see if they can't secure staggers, and we want to make sure that we don't get staggered. So all of us are going to try and find a way to play safe and passive until we fully regroup.
You're welcome!
I feel like myself again.
Now that my team is fully back, I see the enemy pushing and I have my ultimate, and I immediately want to try and use it so that way we can gain some space back and push them back a little bit more so we can get closer to the convoy. Because in this moment, I really don't want that convoy to push up for free if I can avoid it.
This is real firepower!
Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for us to win the team fight, but we did pull out a lot of ultimates, so it wasn't such a bad trade. And now that I'm getting targeted, I immediately want to try and make sure I keep myself alive and help my teammates who are still up, so that way my other team can come back and hopefully we can touch again for a contest.
Again!
A nice deep freeze.
The enemy team pushed forward and killed Luna, which was a really good pick on their part, and because our Strange was portaling on, I was at a really bad spot where I wanted to get back as soon as possible. I wasn't close enough to use the portal, so I opted to try and go the other way, but I also knew that Bucky was there, so I was trying to avoid the damage from him as well. Luckily, through some very smart plays by my Strange and Angela, they were able to stay alive and contest the objective longer, find enough time for me and Luna to come back and help out. The higher up you climb, the better players know not to rely on healing constantly. They play around their own resources and they play around with their own positioning to make sure that they can stay alive because we might be busy or we might not be in a position yet to heal them.
Fantastic! Oh! Ha ha! Ha ha! Ready for this?
Having thought I learned from my lesson previously, I thought I could heal through it, and I wasn't expecting that last bounce from Mr. Fantastic. Maybe I lost count in the moment, and he ended up securing a pick on her, which was really unfortunate. But right now, like I said, as long as some of us are alive, we're able to contest the objective, and now we just need to buy time for our teammates to come back. Having my ultimate, I was looking to make a play with my Doctor Strange, and the moment I saw him ult, I thought he was trying to go for something, so I threw up my ult to follow up on it, and I didn't realize that he didn't hit anyone or that there was nobody there. Part of climbing does involve trying to predict what your opponents are going to do and follow up what you think is happening, rather than simply just reacting to everything all the time. So occasionally you might waste ultimates or abilities when you predict wrong, which is unfortunate, but once again, mistakes happen. After getting distracted by the Mr. Fantastic, I was a really easy target for Magneto to finally hit me. It was only my third death of the game so far though, so it's not so bad. And because of Rocket's mobility, he rarely dies anyway, and one of his strongest qualities is the fact that he has a lot of great uptime. The higher you climb, the more you definitely need to respect your opponent's abilities because as you're getting better, your opponents are as well. Just like how I said before, on offense, when you capture a point, you want to push forward as much as possible to try and deny space and see if you can't make a play to continue the staggers. And as we were regrouping, the Psylocke went for a play on the backline and ended up picking off the Luna. As Rocket, I don't have enough burst heals to patty cake with Luna in order to keep us alive, but even if I was Inviswoman, there's a good chance that I wouldn't have been able to do it either. However, I do know as Rocket, I could sometimes get away from her ultimate by dashing high enough up in the air, and because Rocket is such a great solo healer, I figured that as long as I'm alive, then my team still has a chance. You can see here that as my teammates start to lose health, they back up and give up space and they come to me directly. Knowing that we're down a healer, their heals are going to come out a lot more slowly, so we all need to group up and stabilize, and we'll go back in and try and stall the convoy out. Once again, the moment I charged my ultimate up, I wanted to try and use it as quickly as I could. I thought I put it in a spot that was a little bit harder to hit, but luckily because of the fact that we're still able to secure a kill on Mr. Fantastic, this puts the numbers advantage in our favor. So even though it got melted, it immediately did the job I needed it to do. I hope everyone can take notice here that a lot of the tanks, especially the dive tanks, go in, cause a lot of chaos, create a lot of space, and then jump back, stand still, get healed, and they go right back in again. If you want more healing, you need to make it as easy on your supports as possible. There's a lot of damage in Marvel Rivals, and too much for 2 supports alone to keep up with. Your movement controls and your abilities have a much greater chance of keeping you alive than a steady flow of heals at all times. Because Rocket has such great movement abilities, you can use them to do quite a lot. I can dash back to get a better angle on all of my teammates, or I can dash in order to get an angle on the enemy amplifier. If all you ever do as Rocket is sit at the very back holding right click, you're missing out on a lot of value that he can bring to a team. While me and Luna are being dove, we have to prioritize healing each other, which means we can't heal our teammates. After calling out that Mr. Fantastic was diving the supports in the back, my Captain America came back to help us out by peeling the Mr. Fantastic off of us. And now that Captain America is here and dealing with the Mr. Fantastic, it means that I can weave in some damage a lot easier than before. You never want to get your supports trapped in a position where they're healing each other because that means everyone else can't get healed. And peeling for your supports isn't strictly a tank's job, it's a team job, so that means your DPS can do it and should do it too. With Mr. Fantastic using his ultimate on top of me and Luna, I popped my ultimate as soon as I got it because this is one of those instances where I'm talking about how you want to regain your momentum. He's trying to use his ultimate to try and secure kills on one of us, and I want to use my ultimate to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because although I would love to use my ultimate to try and secure kills or win a team fight, it's more important that I stay alive, because as long as I'm alive, at least I can use my neutral kit to help my team. But if I die in this position, my teammates who are still alive won't have any heals or won't have any help from us. You aren't always going to get the perfect opportunity to use ultimates, but you should use them to try and make sure that you keep yourself alive if it means holding on to that momentum. Whenever you hear a Magneto use his ultimate, you immediately want to get to safety, especially when you're a support because he's going to be aiming for you. Knowing that we were down, I immediately threw my res station on the right hand side, and even though it's not the best spot, getting it out as soon as possible is better than not having it out at all. I was trying to prioritize healing on my Angela so that way she could continue to stall the convoy out, and as I was healing, I was walking towards the left so that way the enemy would focus on me and not notice the res station on my right hand side. Attention is a resource in this game, and I want to pull their attention away from that so that way Angela can come back out quicker. By using some very fast movements by wall running, I was able to escape both the Psylocke and the Mr. Fantastic. My knowledge of where health packs are and my ability to climb on the walls really easily made it so I was able to get away, but not just get away, because of the fact that Psylocke was focused on me as well as Mr. Fantastic, that means he wasn't looking at my teammates either. I really don't mind playing an up-close Rocket because of the fact that I'm pretty confident in my abilities to stay alive. And now that I've given those two DPS the slip, I'm immediately putting myself in a position to where I can heal my team through this enemy support ult. I was so focused on my teammates, I didn't realize Luna was back there and low, and I wish I would have noticed sooner because I might have been able to save her. Remember that whenever you heal, you want to prioritize the targets who are in the most amount of danger. And once I saw the Psylocke low, I immediately wanted to try and get her back into a stable position. This is one of those situations where it's an excellent example as to why prioritizing survival is so important. With it just being me as Rocket, Captain America, and Angela, there's not a whole lot of kill potential, so there's no way to really win this fight. But we don't need to win the fight, we just need to make sure we buy enough time for our teammates to respawn. And because Captain America, Angela, and Rocket are all known for having really great uptime, I'm able to give the DPS the slip and the tanks are able to stay alive on the point as I'm able to still heal them while I'm getting chased. And bought just enough time for our Luna to come out and use her ultimate, so now that'll buy us even more time as our DPS can come out after. And once again, res stations, you might not always have the chance to put it in the best spot, so sometimes you just have to throw it and hope it doesn't get destroyed. Whenever your teammates like Luna, Cloak and Dagger, or Inviswoman are using their ultimates and it's pretty safe to do damage inside of there, feel free to try to slip in some damage from Rocket there to help your team out. But be very careful and be mindful of the enemy team's ultimates because they might still use them immediately afterwards, and by being so close, you put yourself at risk of that. And there, because of the fact that Mr. Fantastic was chasing me and they didn't have enough people on the point, our team was able to pull out a win. But you saw how whether I was on offense or whether I was on defense, I was immediately trying to use my ultimate as soon as I could. By using them as frequently as I was able to help secure our team a lot of momentum and even help us regain momentum at times. And because I was using them so frequently, they got a lot of value and I was charging them very quickly. You don't always want to wait for the perfect time to use your ultimates. There are the times where occasionally you want to use your ultimates to counter other ultimates, such as saving Luna perhaps for a Star-Lord. But sometimes your teammates get so low and you have control over the objective that you have to pop your support ultimate anyway just to keep your teammates alive, and you have to figure out what to do with the Star-Lord afterwards. Because although it's great to try and use your ultimates to counter those specific ultimates, sometimes your team gets put in a spot where you're forced to use your ultimate in order to maintain control over the objective or maintain control over that momentum. Try to communicate with your team on what ultimates you want to use and who's going to use what first, because you want to make sure that you're not double support ulting or double DPS ulting at the same time. Still, don't be afraid to use your ultimates frequently though, because the more you use them, the more you'll get better at knowing when to use them and how to get value out of them. There are many times that players hold onto their ultimates for so long that the amount of time it took them to use one ultimate, they could have charged two in that same time. And don't be afraid to make mistakes when using your ultimates because that's how you learn. Anyway, that's how to maximize your ultimate efficiency, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.